Good morning. I'm Myron Hess. I manage the Texas water programs for the National Wildlife Federation. Water issues are critically important for all Texans, including millions of Texans who, like me, love Texas rivers, streams, and estuaries. Managing our precious and limited water resources efficiently and sustainably is critically important for the long-term well-being of all current and future Texans. We must improve our water conservation practices. We simply cannot afford to use this precious resource wastefully. As Laura Huffman mentioned, we're seeing tremendous growth in Texas, and that puts a tremendous strain on our water resources. It's a limited resource. We can't afford to waste it. We have to continue to make progress towards managing groundwater resources sustainably in order to ensure that future generations of Texans have access to adequate supplies of water. To do anything less is simply not acceptable. We also have to recognize the critical importance, both ecologically and economically, of maintaining healthy rivers and coastal bays and estuaries. That requires protecting water quality and ensuring adequate river flows and freshwater inflows to estuaries. Now, obviously, the state of Texas is facing huge economic challenges, and we must use the available funds wisely. However, making short-sighted decisions about water management in order to save money today will not serve the best interests of Texas. We must continue to fund water conservation programs at our state agencies. And we must continue critically important stakeholder input programs like the Water Conservation Advisory Council to ensure that we have input from all affected sectors to use the water as efficiently as possible. As the state looks for ways to fund new state water projects to meet growing water demands, we must also ensure that water conservation measures are prioritized in those funding mechanisms. Increasing efficiency in the use of existing supplies is almost always the least expensive source of additional water, and it's also generally the least damaging alternative from an environmental perspective. We simply cannot afford to use our limited water resources wastefully. It costs too much in terms of dollars and of environmental damage. We must also continue to make progress in protecting our rivers from unnecessary flow depletion. Future generations of Texans have the right to enjoy healthy rivers and bays and estuaries just as we have. That means funding mechanisms for new water projects must also support measures to protect rivers, to protect environmental flows in our rivers and into our estuaries. Commercial and recreational fishing, along with hunting, bird watching, and nature tourism, provide billions of dollars of economic activity to Texas. In many areas of the state, past water management decisions have put those precious resources at risk. But with adequate funding, we can take steps now to protect those rivers and coastal estuaries. We must ensure that future generations of Texans have the same chance to enjoy the kind of natural heritage that we inherited from past generations. Anything less is simply not acceptable, and a current funding shortage is not an acceptable reason to make poor decisions for future generations of Texans. We can do better. Thank you.